Hi children, now we are going to discussing new kings and kingdoms. Generally, we know kingdoms ruling by the kings. What is meant by kingdom? It is organized community headed by the king. Simply, we can say the area which ruling by the king. Look at the map. Major kingdoms during the 17th and 12th centuries here given Sahamanas, Rashtrakutas, and Kalingas. By the 7th century, there were big landlords or warriors chiefs in different regions of the subcontinent. There were the subordinates of kings are called Samantas. They offered gifts for the king to get military support. They declared themselves to be Maha Samanta and Maha Mandaleswara. Rashtrakutas in the Deccan initially they were subordinate to the Chalukyas of Karnataka. Dantidurga was the chief. He overthrew the Chalukyas and he founded Rashtrakutas kingdom. Dantidurga performed a ritual practice called Hiranyagarbha. He took help Brahmins. It was thought to lead to the rebirth. Prasustas is one of the sources to know the history of Cholas. The invocation part of inscriptions is Prasista. Prasistas contain details about the ruling families. They tell on how the rulers want to depict themselves. These were composed by the learned or educated Brahmins who occasionally helped in the administration. Kings often rewarded Brahmins by grants of lands. These were recorded on copper plates, which were given to those who received the land. In the 12th century, a long Sanskrit poem containing the history of king who ruled over Kashmir. It was composed by an author named Kalhana. He used a variety of sources including inscriptions, documents, eyewitnesses, etc. Many of these kings adopted high sounding titles such as Maharaja, Adiraja. Maharaja means great king, Adiraja means overlord of kings, and Tribhuvana Chakravarti, that means lord of the three worlds. They shared power with their Samantas. The Chola kingdoms getting resource, that means income from the producing, that is from the peasants, cattle keepers, artisans and traders, and sometimes these were claimed as a rent. These income or resources were used to finance the king's administration as well as for the construction of the temples and forts and for the wars. Some of the kingdoms in Chola Empire they fought among themselves for getting wealth. For centuries, the rulers belongs to the Gurjara, Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas and Palas dynasties fought for control over Kanus. These conflicts, historians often described it as the tripartite struggle. One of the ruler of Afghanistan, he named Muhammad Ghazni Sultan, frequently attacked on India for getting wealth. He ruled Afghanistan from 1997 AD to 1030 AD and extended control over parts of Central Asia. He raided the subcontinent almost every year. His targets were wealthy temples including that of Somnath temple in Gujarat. Much of the wealth Muhammad carried away was used to create a splendid capital city at Ghazni. Sultan Muhammad was also interested in finding out more about the people he conquered. and entrusted as a scholar named Al-Biruni to write an account of the subcontinent. This Arabic work, known as the Kitab al-Hind, is an important source for historians. Al-Biruni consulted Sanskrit scholar to prepare this account. Next, Chahamanas. Chahamanas, later known as the Chauhans, ruled over the region around Delhi and Ajmer. The important ruler in Chahamanas was Prithviraj III. He ruled 1168 AD to 1192, who defeated Afghan ruler named Sultan Muhammad Ghori. But Prithviraj defeated next year by the Muhammad Ghori. Look at the map. The Cholas ruled South India. Chola rule is one of the well documented history in the south. Let us see how they became a successful rulers. Vijayalaya, founder of Chola, he defeated Muttariyar and captured. He built the town Tanjavur and a temple for goddess Nishimba Sudhini. Rajaraja I, considered the most powerful ruler of Cholas, became the king in 1985 AD. He expanded his kingdom. Rajaraja's son Rajendra I followed his father's policies and even raided the Ganga Valley, Sri Lanka. Now we are going to discussing about the temples role in the Cholas administration. The big temples of Tanjavuru and Gangaikonda Cholapuram built by Rajaraja and Rajendra are architectural and sculptural marvel. Chola temples often became the nuclei of settlements which grew around them. These were the centers of crop production. The produce of this land went to maintenance all the activities in the temple. Mainly priests, garland markets, cooks, sweepers, musicians, dancers, we can see here. That means nearby the temple. The temples were not only place of worship but also the hub of the economic, social and cultural life as well. Look at the picture. The temple at Gangaikonda Cholapuram, which was built by Rajaraja and Rajendra. Look at one more picture. Chola's bronze image sculpture. It notice how the carefully it is decorated. Chola bronze images are considered to be the finest in the world. Now agriculture and irrigation. The Cholas rulers giving utmost importance to the agriculture and irrigation. Cholas main income or revenue from the agriculture. Kaveri river most important irrigation source in Chola. They had constructed canal for fields. They also dug tanks for irrigation. The king had a council of ministers to help him. He had a strong army and navy. The empire was divided into mandals. The mandals again divided into Valnadus. Valnadus divided into again Nadus. The village formed longer unit called Nadus. The village councils and Nadus performed several administrative functions including dispensing justice and the collecting the taxes. Look at the picture. It is the 9th century sluice gate, that means controlling flow of water in Tamil Nadu. It regulated the outflow of water from the tank into the channels that supply water to the fields. We have seen the Brahmins often received land grants from the kings. These are called Brahma Deya. As a result, a large number of Brahmins settlements emerged in the Kaveri Valley. If you want to become a member of a committee of the Sabha in Chola administration, you should have these qualifications. First one, they should have their own homes, that means house. They should be between the 35 and 70 years of age. Next, they should have the knowledge of the Vedas. Next, they should be well versed in administrative matters and be honest. If anyone has been a member of any committee in the last 3 years, he cannot become a member of the another committee. These are the qualifications we should have member in the Sabha.